Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa, and I just started this YouTube channel very recently. So if you're interested in a little bit more information about me, I will have my intro video linked down below. But today, what we are going to be talking about is sleep training. In particular, how I sleep trained my daughter in 3 nights and the way that I did it. This book, The Sleep Easy Solution. You can see it's well loved. Actually, my daughter tore this, but if you look at the inside, you can see I have really read this book and I have recommended it to so many people because it really worked like a charm. Quick disclaimer, I am not an expert. I am just a mom who found something that worked really, really well for me and my family. So I am not saying that sleep training, or this book in particular, is the end-all be-all solution to getting your child to sleep. All I'm saying is this has worked really well for us. Yeah, I know sleep training can be, a little controversial. Everybody has their feelings about whether it's good or it's bad. And I'm open to everybody's feelings. I feel like things need to be different for every family, for every child, for every situation. But for me in particular, this worked really well. And so this is what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background about our story. So around 3 to 4 months, I would say, is when we transitioned her to her own room. And at that point, we were pretty exhausted because she did not sleep well. She was never really a great sleeper. So we were constantly rocking her, and for like 45 minutes to an hour just to get her to sleep. So around 5 months is when we actually sleep trained my daughter. We had to check with the pediatrician first. So the book recommends that the child needs to be 5 months, 15 pounds. If any of those things are off, you need to check with your doctor. So in our case, we did. She was 5 months. She had trouble gaining weight. She was not 15 pounds. And so we talked to our pediatrician and I asked him if it was okay that we start to sleep train her and not have to feed her through the night. Because she had trouble gaining weight, we would have to wake her up every few hours through the night, which was brutal, and make sure that she was eating. So we got to the point where the doctor said it was okay, we could let her sleep through the night, and that it was okay to sleep train her. So enter the book. And this was actually recommended to me by a woman in my gynecologist office. She swore by it, and so I purchased it and I read it cover to cover, and then I formulated my plan. So I'm going to break it down for you. All I'm going to be talking about in this video is nighttime sleep. And obviously my daughter was 5 months old. However, this book does brief because it's supposed to be from birth to age 5. So it has plans to get your child to sleep from any of those ages. Hence why I've kept it and why I continue to refer to it. As things change, as she's gotten older, nap schedules change, developmental things happen, I have to refer to this when I start noticing her sleep is disturbed. So this is why I really recommend that you read this book. What I'm going to give you is just like the very basics of how I got her to sleep in 3 nights. So you can really do this whole sleep training thing in a few steps. I have some notes here as well as my computer because I want to make sure that I get everything in that I want to say within, a relatively short amount of time. So before you begin, there is a checklist of things that you need to cover. Number 1, is everybody healthy? So before you even think about beginning to sleep train, is everybody healthy? Nobody's teething, nobody's sick, and not just for the child, but for you as well. So you want to make sure that everybody is in a good place to actually begin and stick to this. All right, number 2, which I talked about, you want to make sure that your child's at a good weight. And the book recommends at least 15 pounds. And so like I said, for our situation, she was not 15 pounds, but she was 5 months. And so the pediatrician said she was good to go. Number 3, transitional phase. So you want to make sure they're not going through anything weird. And you know what I mean, like the leaps. You can always tell when they're just kind of a little bit off, and it may not be a good time to introduce something new. Number 4, time to dedicate. Is your schedule okay? Do you have time to really stick to what you're gonna do with this whole sleep training thing? And number 5, everyone's on board. So this is particularly important if you have other primary caregivers besides like yourself and your partner. You want to make sure that everybody is on board with the plan, that you want to set the mood, set the environment so that their room is comfortable. You want to make sure, one, that they have a very safe sleeping environment. So like if they're sleeping in a crib, that there's no blankets or pillows or stuffed animals or anything that should not be in the crib. You also want to make sure that the room is completely blacked out. So we have blackout shades and blackout curtains to make it very dark. Number 3, you want to have some kind of white noise. And oh, sorry, I just ran to go get this because like I was saying, when setting the mood, you want to make sure you have some kind of white noise going. This is the Hatch sound machine, which we love because you can set it to schedules. You control it from Bluetooth from your phone. I just ran, so now I'm out of breath. It has like all the little settings at the bottom. This thing is awesome, little night light, and yeah, it's great. If you're gonna get one, I do recommend this, but really anything will work because we didn't have this to begin with. Number 4, you're going to need a sleep sack or something similar. I will actually link one down below that we really liked. We used a Halo sleep sack and it was great. Just the Velcro kept it really tight and snug. But there are so many other ones out there, and I know I've been out of the game for 3 years, so I'm sure there's other awesome ones, but we used a Halo and it worked really well. So I will link it down below along with a sound machine, everything I talk about. Then number 5 is making sure the room is at a good, comfortable temperature, like around 70 degrees. Keeping the room cool really does help them sleep. Now we got to discuss sleep schedule. So the book does list out a few different schedules depending on like the child's age, which has been very helpful for me going along this entire time. So I do refer back to it a lot. But in the beginning, this is the schedule that we did. So 6:30 p.m. starts wind down time. 7 p.m. was her bedtime. 6:30 a.m. was her typical wait time, give or take. 8:30 a.m. was first nap. 11:30 a.m. second nap. 3 p.m. third nap. And by that point, she had to be awake by 4 p.m. so that we can make sure that there was enough wake time between that nap and bedtime. So that was the schedule. So wind down time, the bed routine that we used to do. And we still do something super similar to this. So we did bath time. And then we read books or had some quiet play. So basically toys that don't have any lights or sounds, just like some blocks and some stuffed animals, just stuff to kind of start winding down and getting them in the mood that it's time to sleep. Do a bottle or breastfeeding, sleep sack, and white noise. Make sure it's dark, cool, the whole thing. So once you've settled and decided upon all of these things that I've explained and you determine that you are ready to begin night 1, you're going to pick a day whenever you're ready to get started. The other thing you're going to pick is intervals. So this is what I would call, I can't remember how what the book calls it, but I would call it like a modified cry it out. The baby's gonna cry. And the book discusses how when we, even as adults, are going through struggles, it's hard for us. Like when we're trying to change a habit or learn something new, we struggle. So the baby's form of struggling is crying. Now, you're not just gonna full out put them in there and let them cry. There is a method to this. So night 1, what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up your station. So for my little station, I had like a notebook with me so that I could record times and what happened. I had my baby monitor. I had the book with me because it also has like really important tips about the crying. And I also used my book to record like the time. So the time I laid her down to the first interval, the second interval. You also want to pick what your intervals are, and it doesn't really matter. You know your baby, so you can determine. And I think the first interval I did was 5 minutes. So day 1, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go through your whole routine, lay them down awake. You want them to be awake. It's very important. You're going to close the door. You're going to head back to your station. You're going to start the clock. So 5 minutes. After the baby's been in there crying, whining for 5 minutes, you're going to go in and you're going to check on them. You're not going to touch them. You're just going to come a little bit into the room and let them know that you're still there by speaking to them. You're going to leave the room, go back, record the time. And then at that point, I think I started to extend the intervals. So I did like 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes. all while coming back and forth, watching her on the monitor to make sure everything was okay. First night, she did cry for about 45-50 minutes. And it's hard. I'm not going to tell you that this isn't hard, because it really is hard to hear your baby cry. About the time I think we got to the 30-minute check, I stopped. I decided that it was probably upsetting her more than it was helping her. So around the 30-minute mark, I stopped. She cried for maybe 10-15 minutes more. She passed out. Okay, that was night one. It was hard. You can get through it, and the book does go through like a whole section called Crying 911 that lists out some tips. But you know that the baby's been fed, the baby is clean, the baby is comfortable. So all they're really crying about is that they want you to come in and comfort them. But this is the thing that they need to learn that will really benefit them, is to soothe themselves. Second night, it's going to be the same routine. You're going to go through the same exact thing as you did in night one. For us on the second night, she cried for maybe about 15 minutes and then she was out. And then the third night, she fussed for maybe 3 minutes to 5 minutes and she was out. And then that was it. She was done. She was sleep trained. She was sleeping 12 hours through the night. And I can't tell you the relief that it gave to my husband and I to be able to get sleep at night. We were all in a much better mood. I felt like I was being a much better mother, just more alert. And she was actually in a better mood as well, because she was getting a lot better sleep. So it really it helped our family a lot. I really do recommend buying this book, because it's going to troubleshoot any kind of sleep question that you may have. Like if the baby likes to sleep with a pacifier, how to do night weaning, if you're breastfeeding, potty training, having older children and troubleshooting their sleep. This is super helpful. I think that's about everything. And I can't tell you enough how much of an improvement there was to my life, to my husband's life, to my daughter's life, just by simply being able to get good nights of rest. I really want to wish you good luck if you try this. And also, if you have any questions, I will try to answer them. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just a mom who read a really awesome book. But if you have any questions and I can kind of draw from what I went through personally, I'd be happy to try and answer them. So please leave them in the comments below. If this is something that has helped you, please like this video and share it with your other mom friends. I would really appreciate that. Also, I would very much appreciate having you subscribe to my channel. I'm super new on this journey and I'm excited to make videos and help other moms. So yes, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.